Assalamualaikum and good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer of the colloquium. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk on young scientists as future leader. And what I would like to do in the next 30 minutes or so is actually sharing some personal and professional experiences. And with that, I hope I'll be able to inspire all of you students, graduate students at this colloquium to be the future leader, to ensure that you have the right characters, the right traits for you to be a future leader and leave a legacy at the end of your career. So let me just quickly introduce who I am. I'm Salmaan Hussain. Currently, I'm the interim head of Environment, Social Performance, and Product Stewardship at Group Health, Safety, and Environment at Petronas. This is in the Twin Towers. Work in Tower 1 in Petronas. And I'm also an adjunct professor at Faculty of Health Sciences, UK. And as I go along, I think you will understand that I have been in UKM for a long time, and I'll bring you to that some of the experience sharing in the next slide. But before I go into more detail about myself, let me just start by thanking those who have contributed to where I am today. And this includes my parents. I couldn't thank them more. We all should. We all must do that every day. And also to my wife and my children. I would also like to thank those who have contributed to me to make me who I am today. And this includes all my teachers, my colleagues at work, my colleagues at UKM before, my colleagues when I was a student, and also the students who have taught me to be a wiser person. And all of you as graduate students, actually you play a certain role when you talk to your lecturers. You actually teach the lecturers sometimes, and maybe we don't realize that when we are lecturers, but as we go along, we realize that we become wiser because of the people that surround us and people that give a different experience. And also to all my collaborators and friends. I have really benefited through many collaborations, and I'll go through some of them today. But there are key people here I put in, including some of the collaborators in UKM itself, at King's College, in University of Colorado Health Sciences Center, or now it's called University of Colorado Denver. From UTM, the late Professor Dr. Khalid Yusuf has given a lot of, has helped me a lot, has also given me opportunities in my career, and also Professor Manaf Ali, who from University, it's called UNIZA now. Sorry, it's University um, Sultan Al Abidin in Terengganu. Previously it was called Institute Darul Iman. And I took this from quite an old slide. There are a lot more people that have been my collaborators, but these are some of my early collaborators that have helped me to shape to where I am. In UKM, there are the likes of Prof. Fadila, Prof. Rohi, Prof. Roslan, who has left UKM, Professor Lailidin, who was my teacher and my collaborator, and the students. There are many students here, but I just mentioned Dr. Chan Kok Meng, Dr. Siu Yiling, who are both in UKM right now, and there are other students, Dr. Hasia, for example, who is in UPM, and there are also my master students who are now working in different places. And this is just to share with you, these are two of my teachers, my lecturers, my professors who have actually contributed a lot in my education. Professor Said Zahir, who has taught me pharmacology when I did my undergraduate degree in UKM, and also Professor Aisha Adam, who introduced me to toxicology when I was in UKM as well. And both of them really played a lot of significant roles in shaping me and making me educated in the areas that I work in, which is toxicology. And these two over here, Professor Jerry Cohen and also Dr. Calvin Kane, these two were my supervisors, my PhD supervisors. Jerry was my PhD supervisor, and Calvin was my co-supervisor. And they two, both of them have really, really trained me very hard. They took that uh, time to really drill me, took the time to really teach me from not knowing a lot of things to knowing at least something. So these two, I'm really indebted, Jerry and Calvin. Both of them are in the UK. So that's just to give you a bit of a background of people that I would like to thank at the outset of this sort of talk that I will give on in this colloquium. So before I go, I think I forgot to mention earlier on that I was supposed to be giving this live tomorrow, and I had a very urgent meeting that I couldn't escape, which was scheduled smack the same time with this colloquium session. So on that, I also apologize for not being able to be in person. And I'm not used to recording, so please forgive me if it's a bit piecemeal, a bit not so smooth. I'm struggling because it's probably my second time or third time doing recording. I'm not really very familiar with the whole system of recording. So now let me talk about my career and my education background. So I did my SPM in 1984, and later on I did my STPM in 1986. So as you can see, I you can probably guess my age as well, right? If you know the year I took my SPM, which is okay. So I'm 53 years old today, and I had quite a colorful career in my opinion. So in 1991, after I graduated from UKM, I did a degree in pharmacology. I wanted to study medicine very badly at that time, but I can tell you this: it's already been stated that I will not become a medical doctor, but I will have, a PhD degree in toxicology, and that's where I am today. So I did a Bachelor of Science honors in pharmacology. I was a student in Faculty of Life Sciences, or Science Hayat at one time. It was called, and then I did my final year in the Department of Pharmacology at Faculty of Medicine, UKM. And that was from 1987 to 1991. When I graduated, I joined Pfizer. And I just want to state that when I was in Pfizer, I actually did marketing. And it was quite interesting on how Pfizer actually helped to shape me into certain types of thinking. So, as you know, Pfizer is a company, a pharmaceutical company that involves in many types of drugs and also vaccine. We heard about the recent, vaccine development, and also the vaccine that we have, probably some of us in this room has taken, which is the COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer. And it's a great company. For the first month, I was just taught about how to talk to our customers. So I was just having day in day out just meeting and training in a meeting room in Pfizer. At that time I was in PJ section 13. And moving forward, 1992 I was offered a position from UKM. At that time FSKB was just starting in 1992, and Datuk Said Zahir, or Professor Said Zahir, was the one who probably recommended me to join. And I got a call from Bangi to say that I've been offered a position to join as a tutor. So coming from an industry, a pharmaceutical industry, quite well paid at that time, and was given an opportunity to join UKM, and was given an opportunity to do a PhD. So I joined as a tutor in 1992. I was thinking about it for quite a while, but it's something that I felt I really wanted to do, a PhD. And just to share with you, I remember when I told my boss about leaving to join university, my boss told his boss, which is my boss's boss, and they decided to increase my salary, which is a lot of salary. It was 500 ringgit more in 1992, which is a lot. At that time in government, we used to get 60 ringgit increment, if I remember correctly. So it was quite a lot of money. But I made a decision that I wanted to do a PhD, and I said, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to leave. But being in Pfizer for a year, more than almost close to 2 years, I joined, I think it was in May of 1991, somewhere around then. I left Pfizer in 1992. I joined UKM in December, on December 24th, 1992, around that. So I learned a lot, and I think that's an organization that helped me build certain characters, especially in negotiation. And those are some of the things that I would never thought when I was doing that at that age, but now it seems to be very useful. Then I did my PhD. I did my PhD at the MRC Toxicology Unit in Leicester at that time. The whole unit, Medical Research Council Toxicology Unit, has now moved to Cambridge. So if any one of you are interested to do your PhD or postdoc, the MRC unit is now based at Cambridge University. So I did a PhD in biochemical toxicology, and I'd just like to share with you that when I first did my PhD, I didn't know a lot of things. And remember, I came from marketing from Pfizer. Of course, I have a degree in pharmacology, but I work in sales and marketing, primarily marketing of pharmaceuticals, and suddenly I have to go and do my PhD. Um, but I had a good training. And I remember my boss in Pfizer told me, he said, Salman, he said, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter how much you know. If your supervisor is willing to bring you up to his level or better, then you'll be very successful. And that's what my supervisors did, Jerry and Calvin, in the previous slide that I showed you the photo. So I did that, and I work I worked really hard, I must say. I spent 7 day week almost working in the lab, and I finished my PhD with 7 papers. I was in good impact factor journals, and that was really good, I thought. So I had 7 papers. Some of my colleagues had 13 papers. So 7 is not top notch, but 7 is decent. So that's how difficult it was working with the supervisor at that time, because he is the word that we use is slave driver. He just wants us to work hard, publish papers. And that taught me a lot of lessons as well when I was doing that. So it's just not doing research which is just nice to do, but research will have got an impact, and you have to publish, you have to communicate the results. So I did that, and I'm very thankful. Then in 99, so I came back in 97. In 99, 2000, I was given an opportunity to work at Colorado University, and again, I would like to thank actually Prof. Jamal Din, who used to teach chemical pathology in FSK. He allowed me to go for a year, and at that point of time, Dr. Ruhi was coming back from UK, so Ruhi took over my papers, if I remember correctly, and thanks, Ruhi. So in Colorado, I work on benzene induced blood disorder, and in that 1 year, I published 2 papers, and that was really good. I thought so. I have started to build, my CV, and to show that I can actually achieve some of the goals that are given to me when I was there. So in moving forward, I came back in 2000, April 2000, and then 2004, I applied for my sabbatical, and again, I was offered to go back to Colorado University. I wanted to go to Karolinska in Sweden, but my mentor at that time, Dr. David Ross, told me come back to Colorado and do work with him. He's a great boss, and I think that's another important aspect that I would like to share with you. Get a good boss. That goes a long way. So here I spent about 9 months, but I published 4 papers. And the reason I managed to publish 4 papers because I was given different responsibilities. I was asked to manage 2 postdocs, and managing two postdocs while doing my own work. I did my own experiments at that time, but I also managed postdocs. So with that, I managed to get a lot of work, supervisory work, and I gained those kind of experience as well. Moving forward, in 2006, 2007, I moved to industry. So I was headhunted, and there was an advisor of the chief minister of Malacca who offered who was looking for the director for Malacca Biotechnology Corporation, and my name came up through actually one of my ex-teacher, one of my ex-professor from pharmacology who knows him, and this guy Prozainuddin, American, actually called me up and said he proposed my name to be the director for Malacca Biotech. And I told him, I said, I don't have any experience in biotech. My work is primarily on healthcare, looking into toxicology and cancer pharmacology at that time, natural products and stuff like that. But he said no. He said, Salman, go take that opportunity. So I did. I went in, met the chief minister of Malacca, who's the governor now, masa tu is Datuk Sri Ali Rustam, Muhammad Ali Rustam, and now is the governor. Went to see him, and he asked me one question. So, what can you bring to Malacca if I appoint you? And I told him, while I do the other work that you want me to do, but one of the key deliverable for me is to establish a toxicology lab, and I did that. So that is one of my key deliverables, and managed to get it through a team that I developed and through collaborators. So that's really important as well. So moving forward, 2013, and between 2007, I was given opportunities to work with WHO. And this opportunity came again through my networking. I was involved in the Malaysian cohort. I got to know the director of IMR at that time, and who became later on became a deputy DG for Ministry of Health. And when he was a deputy DG of Ministry of Health, he actually asked me to represent Ministry of Health, to represent Malaysia on human health risk assessment toolkit development. So I was very worried because I was worried to be at WHO, not knowing how I will look like, whether I will look like very not so clever among all the clever people. But he told me, he said, no, just go. And I did. I went and I learned a lot. I met great people, and I've been with WHO for quite some time. In fact, I just missed a meeting recently because I couldn't do due to my work commitment. And that's really quite nice. And along the way, in 2013, 2012, 2013, I went to Kyoto University as a visiting professor. And that's the time when Petronas actually asked me to join as the chief toxicologist, and I joined Petronas in February 2013. Moving forward, I also had opportunities to work at Yale University in 2018, and this is when I was in Petronas. I applied for a Fulbright fellowship from Malaysia, got it, and when I was there, I published 3 papers. One I wrote myself, and the other 2 through my collaboration. So just to inform that the reason I tell you about these papers and why it's important is because that is the KPI. That's your deliverables when you are in academia. Papers, patents, those are important areas that as students you should really look into it. Moving forward in 2021, UKM appointed me as the adjunct professor, and I'm very thankful to be back in UKM as well. So here I am giving you a bit of a sharing of my personal experience in terms of how I develop certain, if you like, leadership trait moving forward. From being a student all the way to being the head of interim head of environment, social performance, and product stewardship. So my career started as being a student. Then I worked as a pharmacologist, if you like. That was my degree. I worked in Pfizer as a pharmacologist. My role was really to do marketing of pharmaceuticals. going to see our clients, doctors and pharmacists, and telling them about the drugs, explain to them how the drug work, etc., etc. And then I moved on to be an academic toxicologist, working in academia, before I moved to become a corporate toxicologist in Malacca Biotech, as well as in Petronas. And now, really, I call myself as a corporate manager. I deal with managing, a group of people. I provide leadership, in different areas, not just in toxicology, but in different areas. And in academia, I started as a tutor, and I became a lecturer. And from there, I became an associate professor, professor and dean of Faculty of Health Sciences at one time. And then when I left the university, I didn't have the professor title. So you're not supposed to use a professor title unless you're an adjunct professor, or you're a visiting professor, or you are given by the university. So from 2014 to about 2018, I did not use my professor title. I don't use it today as well, but at least in 2018, I was also appointed as the adjunct professor at Yale School of Public Health, and in 2021, adjunct professor at UKM. So I've got two adjunct professorship with me right now. So that's really nice again. Now, I'm sharing with you this paper, a flow cytometric method for the separation quantitation of normal and apoptotic thymocytes. So this is my first paper when I was going to be a graduate student. And I can tell you, I did not know what flow cytometric is. I do not know what apoptotic is. I know what thymocytes are, and the rest I know. So it was very scary when this paper was given to me and I was asked to read this paper, and said that Jerry Cohen, who came to Malaysia, and Jerry was Professor Aisha's PhD supervisor as well, and he said to Aisha, give this paper to Salmaan, ask Salmaan to read, and this is the type of work that he will do when he comes to do his PhD. And as you can see, the paper was published in August 1992. I joined UKM December 1992. I went to UK May 1993. And this was a very hot topic. Apoptosis was a very hot topic at that time. So I was so scared because I didn't understand what flow cytometric was, and I didn't understand what apoptosis was at that time. And I had to do a lot of reading, and I was scared. I was reading all sorts of things from the gastroendotoxicology book before I went to UK. And that's just an example of not knowing what to know, and you need to be guided as you move along. And once I was in UK, Jerry guided me and really helped in terms of developing the knowledge that I need to be a PhD student. Now, I'm sharing this with you, really not to brag, or not to show off, but this is really to encourage and to inspire you um, about honors and awards. These are just examples of honors and awards that I had. And I started as young as in 1996, when I gave a talk at the British Toxicology Society, and I won the first prize for Best Oral Presentation. I had to do a rehearsal many, many times in front of my supervisor. And he asked me many, many difficult questions until I was really scared. And I went to, this was in York, I went to York, gave the talk, and I won a best oral presentation. I answered all the questions that were asked to me, and that was very pleasant. And it was very nice to get, I think it was £80 at that time, from British Toxicology Society. And later on, I applied to many types of fellowships, many types of travel grant from IUBMB, Wellcome Trust. I also got the Visiting Research Associate Award in University of Colorado. And I just took that opportunity to look up for potential grants and apply. I did not get every grant that I applied, but I got most of them. And it is quite interesting that at that point of time, I did not know where I will be today, right? And in 1996, I wasn't sure where I was going to go. At that point of time, I thought I'll be a toxicologist, and that will be my career until the end of my career, until I retire. But things change along the way. But moving through your career as a postgraduate student, I think it's very important that you build your credibility early. Get it done now. Get notice on your leadership abilities early. Whatever that you do, you need to make sure that it's being noticed. You need to make sure that not only your supervisor knows that you are good, but other people around, surrounding you also know that you are good. And search for opportunities if you want to be successful. Don't just rely on what is in front of you, but open your eyes wide and go into doing different things. That's really, really important. And I can tell you that I searched a lot. I went to New Scientist. I went to all sorts of websites, to look into all these travel grants, fellowship. The minute I found some of these, I just write, to them and got it. There were several that I did not get also, but you just have to keep on trying. You just don't give up and just keep on trying. So this just to share you about honors and awards and start. And I'd just like to share with you some of my post-PhD experiences. And I think this is just to to tell you that as a student, you will need to develop certain skills and you need to develop certain body of knowledge, which you are doing, all of you are doing as a graduate student, whatever that you do. And as you move along, if you're a PhD student, you will probably need to acquire post-PhD experiences. How do you acquire this? You need to have your contacts. You need to apply, as I mentioned earlier on, fellowships. You need to network people, and this is where you start to know people and people start to know you. Attend conferences, attend seminars, um, get noticed, and that's very important. And just like to share with you two sort of um, big ticket item, if you like, of my post PhD experiences. From Colorado University, I got to know the professor at Yale that actually agreed to have me to work with him. So it was networking. I knew him from 1999, and my mentor in Colorado University probably put a lot of good words for me, um, and that helped me to get the position at Yale University. Secondly, I started working with Kyoto University very young, I think about 2004, 2005. I went to Kyoto University. That time was under Professor Maslane's sort of grant that he had, and started building rapport with colleagues from Kyoto University. And that went a long way until I became a visiting professor at Kyoto University. And I asked the professor, Professor Yuneda at Kyoto University, I said, why did you invite me to be a visiting professor? Because there are many other professors from UKM that went, but I was picked up for this. And the answer that he gave me, I can still remember clearly, we were in a train to go to Tokyo, and he said this. He said, we see that you'll be a future leader. Now, I just want to repeat that. We see that you'll be a future leader. So I did not see that. I did not see that coming, right? But he said that, and I just thought, okay, sometimes we don't know how good we are, and we don't know how bad we are until somebody gives you a feedback. So that kind of feedback is a very encouraging feedback, alhamdulillah. So, but these are the things that you, along the way, you get this information, and it's very important, for you to build that rapport and also demonstrate that you can deliver your work, that you can do the work, and that you can be noticed as a future leader. Okay, moving forward, I think this is just to show you. This is my mentor, David Ross, at Colorado University. I must say he's my best mentor that I've ever had. David Ross, he gave me a lot of opportunities, and I think that's something that you need to work with people who are going to give you opportunities, not people who are not going to give you opportunities, because then you will not be able to grow. And there's a saying that banyan trees, this tree with a very broad leaf, banyan trees is a very big tree, and under banyan trees are very small trees. So it provides coverage to all these small trees, but it doesn't allow the small trees to grow as big as that banyan trees. So if you get people who are like banyan tree, yes, you can grow, but you can grow very little. You need to get people who are willing to bring you up to the same level as he or she is, or even better. And I think that's very, very important. So That's number one sort of take home message that I want to let you know, is that get a good leader to be your mentor, and move on from there. Then the second one I just want to share with you is that don't have high expectation when you go to a new place. This is me working in Twin Tower, and when I went to Yale, I was given a very small cubicle. You can see this. It's not even a cubicle. This is in the middle of a corridor, and I was given that desk, and that's where I had to do my work. So my expectation was when I went there, I thought, okay, I'll get a small office just like in Colorado, and it'll be very comfortable. It is not comfortable. Knowing my height, you can see my leg is down there, almost uh, not ergonomic at all. But I did not complain. Just get your work done, and I think that's really important. And one more thing that I'd like to share with you here is that you need to know your stuff. When you are given an opportunity, make sure that you are also not make sure that others notice that you are good. But don't brag, and don't BS. I think you all know what BS is. I'm not going to go into detail into that. Say what you know if you know, and if you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't try to make up stories, to lie, because that will actually bring you down immediately, especially when people know. And I've seen this in my career. When people don't know and they just keep on talking and say as if they know. And I used to be like that at one time when I first got my PhD. I was worried that if I say no, that I don't know, people will say, apalah Salmaan ni, ini pun tak tahu. That kind of expectation that I was worried, but actually you don't have to. Just ensure you know your stuff. Let others notice that you are good, okay, in what you're doing, and don't brag, don't show off. Just people will know and notice you, and inshallah that will help you to go to the next level. Now I like to change a bit from some of the academic work that I've done into my career in Petronas. And this is where I want to tell you that sometimes you want to go to a place, you have certain areas that you want to go in, but you may not get it. You may not get it first time, you may not get it second time, you may get it third time, and this is what happened to me. Or you may not get it third time. But in my case, I had these two people here, Dr. B. Ponidure and Azizin Zainuddin, who gave me the opportunity. So I applied in 2009, didn't get anything. 2010, didn't get anything. And then 2012, when Dr. B became the head of Group HSC, she told me that, Salmaan, the job is yours. If you ever want to join Petronas. And I thought she was joking. And when there was an explosion that happened, there was an incident in Petronas and some toxic effect, and she came to me several times asking. That time I was a dean. That was in 2012, and I told her, I said, you need a toxicologist in Petronas. And she said, I've told you that this job is yours. So that's how it started. So I was seconded from UKM, became a chief toxicologist, and then I moved up the ladder, and currently I'm the interim head for environment, social performance, and product stewardship. So sometimes the opportunities may not be there immediately, but as you move along, that these opportunities may come up. And the other thing is just to share with you that when I started doing work in Petronas, my work is mostly on product safety. But as you move along, you have to look at the broader picture. You need to connect the dot. And connecting the different dots is very important. So, for example, I used to work on eco and toxicology profile, doing product risk assessment, looking into primarily toxicology and product related. I need to move and look into climate change. I need to look into natural resources, into human rights, community health, looking into R&D, on bio-based R&D, and also into the life cycle assessment. So you can see that as we move along in our career, we need to broaden. We may not go so deep into one area. We need to broaden, and from there we get different type of experience. So this is just to show you an example of what I do at work today. I connect the different dots in the life cycle thinking for Petronas, for our products. So to produce a product, you will have a lot of challenges because you need to use water, you need to have your operation, and because of that you have some groundwater issues or discharges, you have air emissions, you may have impact on biodiversity, etc., etc. And all of this is need to be managed, and we need to manage those risks. So this is just an example. And why do we need to do all of this? We need to look into environment, into product safety, into making sustainable product, into being transparent, because all of this has an impact on the triple bottom, on your profit, on people, and as well as on the planet. So looking at that, this is what we call ESG, environment, social, and governance aspect, is very, very key to stakeholders. Now, I guess this is a question that you ask yourself. I'm not going to go, sorry, not going to go into. Sorry, I don't know how to. I'm not. Uh, okay, sorry. I think I don't know how to get back. I'll skip that. But the question that you will ask is why are you a grad student? Why do you want to do what you do now, and where do you want to go from now? So I guess this is just to let you know that once you do what you do, there are differences between academia and also industry, and sometimes you may need to look beyond just academia and industry. So there are certain sectors that you never thought about in certain areas. Sometimes scientific communication, sometimes it's digital, patent law, venture capital, subject matter expert consultancy, either in clinical work, non-clinical work. There are different types of work that you may need to you may be able to get in. So the next step can be of a challenge for graduate students. Now, what are differences between academia and industry? I'll just run through very quickly. In academia, you're expected to be a self-starter. You're comfortable with self-promotion. You work independently most of the time. You develop your own research questions. You are on the same turf with your colleagues. Very rewarding, but it can be a bit risky. And salaries, if you're in the government, it's quite similar throughout the nation. Whereas industry is different. You are expected to drive yourself. If you don't perform, you are out. You view towards a common industrial goal, business needs. You cannot do what you like. You will do what the company wants you to do. And it is very KPI oriented. You cannot just sit on your laurel and say that this year I will only do 3 things. You can't do that in industry. So maybe risky. And also understanding what is expected of you as a member of your research team, based on objectives set at the beginning of your employment is very, very important if you're in R&D. Can be risky and rewarding, especially the salary varies very significantly depending on the industry that you go. But at the end of it, regardless of where you go, you need to build a character now. I think that's an important takeaway message that I would like to share with you. Build it now. Don't wait too long. Now, I think I'm towards the end of my presentation, and the topic today is really sort of looking into the future of the leaders, as young scientists. How do you become future leaders? What are the key attributes that you need to know? And here there are several, and I took this from, I believe it's Sheffield University, that there is a website that talks about the different areas that key attributes of graduate students to become future leaders. You can look at this in any website. It is all the same thing. I've spoken about adaptability, about being flexibility and resilience. I've spoken about collaboration. I've spoken about commercial, maybe not so much in the commercial awareness, but you need to know what's new today, what's new, what is the emerging areas that may come up in the next few years. Look into that as well. Communication is very important, not just communication through your publication, but also the way you talk. I remember I asked somebody many years ago when I was in UKM, so what are you working on? Natural product. Now that's not a very good answer from a PhD student, in my opinion. I would go into more detail because you are trying to tell, future employers, future company. So you need to be very good at communicating what you want to tell. Critical thinking is given. This is a no-brainer. When you're doing your graduate studies, you need to be thinking about this, and this is a real important trait when you want to become leaders in your area. Efficiency, you need to be efficient in the work that you do, and you need to know globally what's happening. You need to innovate and self-develop as you move along. So these are all part of of being future leaders. It's a part of leadership, and you need to have. So last word, I just want to say that as you move into whatever that you're doing now, don't turn back. Once you're on this route, but make sure that you capitalize on that new route that you are in. So right now, as a graduate student, fine, just finish it up, do your best, and then make sure that the future is for you to leave a legacy. And while you do that, contribute to society. Remember, whatever that you're doing right now is an amanah given to you, and you want to make sure that you perform the amanah that is given to you to the best that you can. While doing what you need to do, make sure you also ensure that the communities, the society are also valued, and you also give back to your society along the way. So with that, I thank you. And again, my apologies for not being at the colloquium in person. I wish you all the best, and to all the graduate students, good luck, and we will hopefully see face to face in the future. Take care now. Bye bye.